Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome all of you. Live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever. Once Tony Ross said, there is something for everyone in AWS ecosystem. We welcome you all to know more on AWS. 𝐂𝐥𝐮𝐻𝐿 will be the host for today's webinar.
It is a great honor to me for welcome you all to our webinar in cloud computing. And today's topic is AWS. Amazon Web Service is the world's most comprehensive and broadly adopted cloud platform, offering over 200 fully featured services from data centers globally. Whether you are looking for compute power, database storage, or content delivery or other functionality, AWS has the service to help you build sophisticated applications with increased flexibilities, scalability, and reliability. Well, I, Venkat Sachar, will be your co-host for today's webinar.
Our speaker, Dr. Dr.Mirnalinee, is a professor at SSN College of Engineering, Chennai, and currently the head of Department of Computer Science and Engineering. She has received her BA degree from Bharati Darshan University, MA degree from Anna University, Chennai, and PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. She has completed 3 research projects and has published about 80 papers in international journals. She has received the Best Paper Award from Journal of Indian Society Remote Sensing during the National Symposium on Best Technology for Food and Environment Security at New Delhi. She has received the Best Faculty Award at SSN University by 𝐂𝐥𝐻𝐿 in year 2018. She has been serving as a member of Board of Studies for Anna University and a couple of autonomous universities affiliated to Anna University. She has been nominated as a member of Planning and Monitoring Board of Johnson's University Institute of Technology, Coimbatore, on behalf of Johnson's Foundation. She has been invited by RMK Engineering College to serve as Department Advisory Committee member, and she has been nominated as Margadarshak under AICTE's Margadarshak scheme. After Marilyn Mams gives a small speech on AWS, Ms. Samyukta, a final year CSC student, will demonstrate on AWS. Samyukta has done multiple internships in web development and data analyst. Currently, she is working for AWS certification. Now, let's welcome them to enlighten us on AWS. Thank you. Now, you can start your speech. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, just a second.
Ma'am, you can start your speech now.
Okay, good afternoon to everyone. So, as introduced on this session, we will have about AWS, Amazon Web Services. Before going deep into Amazon Web Services, the basic introduction of Amazon comes from the cloud technology. So all of us, knowingly or unknowingly, we were using the cloud for most of our computing resources. So what exactly this cloud is? Online service platform. It is just sharing about the infrastructure, all the computing environment, including the software, storage, and the computing infrastructure. We could consider this as a cluster of infrastructures, that is computers or supercomputers or data store, whatever it may. This cloud computing could be considered as a group of nodes or switches connecting between all these nodes through some computer network topology. This network topology, we were considering it as a 3-tier architecture, as a database server, application server, and communication technology, that is communication service in between the underlying database with the application. We do have a single cloud network, and also we do have a multiple cloud network, which could be considered as a private cloud or public cloud. Once we say it's a private cloud, mostly it is within an organization. They are sharing the within an organization the computing part, storage, or any services, any web services it is communicated or shared within the organization or an industry. When you talk about a public cloud, one of the example of this public cloud is the Amazon cloud service, AWS. Amazon cloud service is supporting us with the storage, computing, and many more. So especially for storage, it's Amazon S3. For computing cloud, it is EC2. We will have a description of all these things with a demonstration in the later part of this. And being know about the cloud computing technology, the AWS is also an online platform which is supported by Amazon, and which provides scalable and cost-effective cloud computing solutions. What exactly is this scalable means? Whenever new customers join, or a single customer itself, his usage of the computing power or the services increases, using the load balancing technology, this AWS could capable of serving all the requests from n number of locations to all the servers. So we call this as a scalable platform, and also it's an cost effective platform. In the cost effective, it means all the IT infrastructure is shared by the various stakeholders of the society, whoever is using the cloud computing platform. So the various services which could be offered by the AWS are here: computing, programming models, database storage, and networking services. These services are provided using EC2, S3, EBS, very basic services. And apart from Amazon, few other are also having these cloud computing technology, especially Microsoft Azure is the most popularly used service, and also Google Computing, where most of AIML people were using Google Colab for doing their experimentations with the AIML technology. And apart from this, various major players, we do have several small players also in this era of these cloud services. Now, this AWS service is basically, as we all know, it's provided by Amazon, which uses distributed IT infrastructure. These IT infrastructure resources are available in various locations, and these IT infrastructure could be used by anybody on demand. And the various IT infrastructure provided by the Amazon services are IaaS, PaaS, and so on. This is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. What it means is as an infrastructure as a service, actually the server thing, when we are trying to use computing machines for various AML based applications, the infrastructure what do we have as a laptop or a desktop is not sufficient enough. So we can use the computing power of the Amazon, that we call it as a infrastructure as a service. Platform as a service, the ecosystem for running any of the applications, rather than individual machines, we have to purchase that licensed software and install that OS and so on, that ecosystem. Rather than having individual such OS ecosystem, we can rightly use from the Amazon service, so that there is no need to have an expenditure for the companies whoever is running this particular application. And also the software as a service. In the software as a service, mostly web applications or any software which could be deployed as a service in this cloud environment. Whoever wants to use that particular service can use it as a demand basis, pay as we are using on that service. And as we know that this is a cost effectiveness and scalable this technology, we do have a load balancing technology. So whenever huge requests are coming from a same location, this Amazon has a special module where this load can be distributed across the locations based on the request. And all of us have a question about when we are storing our personal information into these sorts of cloud services. What about the security and privacy of our data or our application, whatever it may? So Amazon is providing end-to-end security to and also privacy to the customers. The security solutions, including they ensures about the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of this user data whenever it is required. And the various applications of AWS, in what scenario we will use AWS technologies when we need to have huge storage, or we want to have a backup of our day-to-day activities. We will go ahead with AWS service, and also to host any websites similar to the other website hosting sites. Amazon is also providing these sorts of applications. Then gaming development and usage of gaming as well. As usual, today the most of the keywords is IoT, big data analytics, AI, ML, and so on. All these sorts of applications, certain services are there, web services that especially for the big data management, the various services provided here is mentioned, and also for the industries, this for messaging and notifications as a proper communication technology, that is also provided as a service in the Amazon. And various web applications related to AR, VR, IoT, all these services are in the AWS, which we could able to use it on. As a summary, it's basically a cloud computing platform. We call it as a earlier history, it could be considered as a distributed computing environment. Various computing environments are connected, clustered in a form that the sharing of the resources, hardware resource or software resource, among the various users of this thing. This is what. And now, before the questions, I request Shamitya to have a demo of how we initialize these Amazon Web Services, how the user will use this Amazon Web Services.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Let me just share my screen.
Sure, you can share.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna start my demo. For today, I decided to go with AWS services that I've previously used in my internship. So I'll be presenting a real business case that was required by the company I was working with, and what AWS services we used to actually come up with a proof of concept. So proof of concept is basically a small experiment that is run with a small audience to see how all these services transform into business value. And by business value, I mean how much time we are saving and how much money is being saved for the business. So let me just show you the chatbot I built with AWS, and that is what we'll be exploring today. AWS actually has so many services, but I wanted to sort of give a demo of something that you can actually go and implement right now. Is the
Welcome to
audio
Equinix.
Audio
In few words.
here? Was the audio was it audible?
Yeah. For
Yes.
me, it is audible. Others, can you respond?
Yes, Samyukta, it was audible.
Yeah, the
Thank you.
screen is also visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Samita, you can just enhance your screen.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, just maximize it.
Cool.
Yeah, good. Proceed.
Welcome to 𝐂𝐥𝐮𝐻. In few words, how can I help you today?
Hi, I would like to do a password reset for my ECP account.
Could you please provide me with the PIN for the ECP account you would like to reset the password?
3451.
To confirm, your PIN for the ECP account is 3451. Shall I send you an email with the reset link?
Yes.
Thank you. I have verified your PIN. You will be receiving an email right now with all the instructions. Thank you for calling 𝐂𝐥𝐮𝐻. I hope I have resolved your issue. Have a nice day.
Okay, so this is just an example of my intern project, which I used. This is the solution architecture diagram that I put out. So it might look intimidating at first, but it's basically all the AWS services I used to achieve this proof of concept. If you see, you can notice something called Amazon Connect. Now that service is actually, it provides the entire infrastructure for a call center. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with what call centers do, right? So whenever you have an issue with any product, you just hit up customer service, right? And if you notice, it immediately you're routed to something called an IVR, an interactive voice response. So it's just a bot telling you to like type in numbers, right? So it would say like maybe press 1 for English, press 2 for Hindi, and then you can go about talking about your query, or usually it just connects you to an agent. Now for this company, they deal with like 24 countries. It's actually a data center vendor company. So they deal with customers from 24 countries. Now imagine operating a call center at such a big scale. That's definitely tough, right? So, but they use something called Amazon Connect, which provides all of these servers and all of this call routing services to help them manage things better. Now, so when a customer just calls, they're immediately, their call is routed inside Amazon Connect to the correct agent. The business case I was solving here is, now, like I said, IVRs are usually just numbers that you have to type in, right? But what they wanted was something more conversational. They wanted customers to able to be speaking out their problem, speaking out their query. So in this example, you can see that they just want to do a password reset. That's the basic concept. And so they call up a customer service, and this conversational IVR would ask them to just reply in words rather than connecting them with an agent. So actually through my project, I was able to achieve 79% call reduction, meaning that the customer support team didn't have to deal with so many calls. So if this usual call took about 9 minutes in the traditional IVR, it would take only 2 minutes. But more about my project, more about my project later. So I'm just trying to explain how AWS services can solve different business use cases in big companies. So Amazon Connect, and then I've used Amazon Lex. That is the main hero here. It's basically, we can build voice bots and chat bots with absolutely no code at all, or rather very low code. So you wouldn't have to have deep experience in deep learning or machine learning to understand what happens. You know, when presented with a business use case, you can create a chatbot in like a few minutes, like how I'll show you today. But basically, this Amazon Lex works on something called automatic speech recognition, which is what happened in the video before, and natural language understanding. So machine learning engineers in Amazon have created this entire platform, or rather product, which we can use to build chatbots in very few minutes. So our customers' query, their input is given to this chatbot. So they converse with this chatbot, and the chatbot captures all of what the customer needs and uses an AWS Lambda function. Now, an AWS Lambda function, just think of it as a function, obviously, a serverless function, meaning that you can deploy functions on AWS to do certain things, right? So what I did was an email handler. So like in the video I showed before, the customer would call in asking for a password reset. We will send them a password reset link through an email. And what function does this? It's basically the AWS Lambda function, which I can just show you here. So if you're familiar with just normal Python code, that's what I've just written here. And so, we're just sending an email with a specific template. So whenever the customer calls in and the bot is able to capture their query, an email is sent. That's the basic concept. So that is done by AWS Lambda. And then we have Amazon DynamoDB, which is basically a NoSQL database like MongoDB. So it's Amazon's what they offer, and an Amazon simple email service, which handles this email sending functions. So this is just an overview. If you can see, I've used about 5 services here, right? 5 services to actually do something and solve a business use case. Likewise, you can use many other so many other use case services that Amazon offers, like AR, VR, there's blockchain, and obviously machine learning. So according to what you want to build, I'm sure AWS services has something out there for you to actually build and go to production in a matter of few weeks. So what are we exploring today? For my demo today, I would show you how to build your own Lex bot in AWS Lex, and something deploy a full stack React.js app in AWS Amplify. And then we could probably see how I can bring my chatbot that I build into a full stack web application. So essentially adding a chatbot to any web app that you build. Now, okay, so this is the AWS Management Console. You can sign up whenever you sign up for AWS. It might ask you for a credit card. I have noticed people who tend to avoid it once a credit card is asked. Like if you have used Spotify or Netflix, you're probably they ask you for a credit card, but that's only just because they want a verification that you are not a bot, because bots can abuse the free tier that AWS offers, and that is actually an amazing free tier because you can essentially test out and build so many projects under this AWS free tier, unless you are a company which needs to your product has like millions of customers around the world. That is when you have to go as per pay as you go plans, or I'm just trying to say that that's when you'll have to pay. So when you initially sign up for an account, you can do it with your normal email or your college edu email. There used to be additional benefits for using your edu email, but now they have made it open for anybody, so anybody can sign up with any email you have and essentially get an AWS account. So you would be asked for a credit card. It might just get like 2 rupees or something from you for verification, but I promise that if you're sure of whatever resources you use here, you're not going to be billed for. And all of that can be actually explored under your account page. So you can see every sort of bills that came for you, every resource that is running in the cloud. So, if you deploy, like ma'am was talking about, an EC2 service, which is basically a virtual server in the cloud to deploy big applications, like I told you. These sort of services would run, would make you pay for a minute or an hour, I believe. But you can actually be conscious of that by looking under looking under all of these and ensuring that you're not paying for resources that you do not use anymore. And so under the free tier, you get all of these limits for all of the services you use. And one really good thing that I love about AWS is that they offer so much documentation. Like this particular thing that I want to talk about is AWS Educate. So they have labs, they have learning paths that you can take up for any career that you want in the cloud. And learning AWS can be very beneficial because I've been to interviews where they actually ask me if I have experience in AWS. And if you mention it on your resume, it really acts as a standing point, to separate you from the others. And that's why I'm actually currently trying to get my cloud practitioner certificate, because that certification is really important in the industry for a career in cloud. So these tutorials, I just wanted to say, are really useful, and they've even brought in games, this AWS Cloud Quest Cloud Practitioner game, through which you can learn more about cloud concepts. So when compared to Azure or Google Cloud, I really like how they are making learning so much more fun. Instead of just a normal course, they're bringing in games, they're bringing in hands-on labs that you can really explore here. Yeah, so let me move on to what I want to achieve today, which is building a chatbot with Amazon Lex. Now, this is the console you would see. This is the version 2 console, as you can see. And I've built a bot here for my previous project, but I'm going to go ahead and build a new bot, show you how that is done. I'm going to return to the V1 console because I believe for integration with Amplify, which is something we'll look at next, the V1 version of LexBots have to be used. So yeah, so that's what Amazon Lex is, and Amplify is building full stack apps in Aws. So you can configure front ends, you can create your own backends, and host your entire application on the AWS cloud. So if any of you is you have prior experience in web development, you might notice that you have to set up if you're using React, for example, you'd have to set up a React app. You would have to use, suppose, say, a MongoDB database, and then connect these two, and then deploy your entire thing on Heroku, or just your front end on Vercel. All of that is involved, right? But AWS sort of brings it all into one service called AWS Amplify. We'll just look at how we can set up a really simple React app in AWS Amplify for now. So I thought of creating a biryani ordering chatbot today, since I noticed tutorials doing pizza ordering, so I decided to go with this. But basically, our first step now would be bot development and testing, app setup and Amplify, and integration of these two. Before I move on to that, I just wanted to explain a few bot concepts that would help you understand Amazon Lex better. So here we have something called an intent. Now, this is an example for a banking chatbot, in the sense a chatbot that you could probably see on a banking application, right? So make payment. Our user suppose if they want to perform this action of making a payment, that's what we call an intent. So these are some lingo that you have to understand how Amazon Lex works, how you can create your own chatbots there. But basically, an intent is a function. So, do A, something like that, do X. That's what an intent is. So here our intent is make a payment, or if you can see in the example below, they are asking to check their balance. So the intent here would be check balance, right? And an utterance is what the user says. Now in conversation design, we have to be really mindful of what our end user is going to ask for. In human language, I can ask you something and you're probably going to understand it with all the synonyms I use, right? It's not that I have to use the exact words for you to understand something. Now, that is how chatbots also have to be developed. We have to keep in mind that our user can use any words to form a sentence that can basically mean the same thing. Now, suppose in this utterance, they say, I'd like to check my balance. I can say something like, I want to know my balance. What is my balance? Stuff like that. All of these essentially mean the same thing. So they are called utterances. And these utterances is what triggers the intent. Now, Amazon Lex is really intelligent in the sense that it can connect what you're saying to what function that the customer wants to achieve. So I'll show you. I'll show all of this to you in a minute. But essentially, you're not going to do any sort of machine learning here. But that is very much possible with AWS services like SageMaker. But for everybody to understand, I didn't want to go into that today. Basically, you do not have to get into understanding what is happening in the backend. Everything that happens in the in the front is what will be presented to you, and is all that is enough for you to actually build a chatbot. So here they say, I'd like to check my balance, and the prompt is something our chatbot needs to it needs more information. Now, if the customer says, I want to check my balance, we need to know what account they're talking about. So there'll be types of accounts, savings and checkings. So that is the slot here. Our slot is basically the variable. So prompt is if our customer does not talk about something that the bot needs for processing, we give them a prompt saying, hey, what is your account? I need that for finding your balance, right? So that's the prompt and that's the slot. And again, you see another prompt, another slot, and our fulfillment is, I was talking about the AWS Lambda function, right? So essentially your bots are connected to AWS Lambda functions. I will also not cover that today because I believe I myself had a sort of a learning curve when it came to understanding AWS Lambda. But just think of it as a function that you hit, an API that your bot is going to hit to get a response. And your bot is not going to do the actual work. It needs to talk to other services like AWS Lambda, for example, to send an email, right? So that part is taken care of by AWS Lambda. Your bot is just going to converse with the user and get information and show replies from what happened in the AWS Lambda function. So that is essentially what fulfillment is. So I hope these concepts are clear right now. Let me just move on to creating a bot. So here you just have to create, and for example, I would say biryani or okay. You can actually try out all of these samples instead of doing something from scratch. But let me just go ahead and try it in scratch. Now, these are all of the languages that are currently being supported by Amazon Lex. In the sense, you can actually make French or German chatbots. And deploy them to their respective web apps. So for example, in Germany, I think like, or I'm just trying to say in countries where English is not the main language, you can actually create chatbots to cater to the needs for the customers there, right? So today we just go ahead with English Indian. You can one tip would be when you're working with AWS services, go with the default for everything, unless if they're asking you for names, or most of the time I've noticed that all of these services would ask you for really minimal information to get started with the project. Go ahead with the default services. Do not try to explore with these settings because you wouldn't really get the output you want. So if you're following a tutorial, just go ahead with all the defaults. So I'm just going to do the same here. Yeah, so now that was just the first step of creating a bot. And like I was talking, here are the sample utterances. So suppose instead of all of this, I want to order okay. So this is something that our customer will probably tell. You can add multiple utterances here, and that is something that I actually did for my internship project because okay, so in my internship project, it was a voice bot instead of a chat bot, right? You have settings to do this here, but to test out the voice bot, you would need it, through a phone call. You would need it to be connected through to the Amazon Connect service, like I was talking before. So instead of that, to just show you, it's all the same concept. So I'm just going to show you what's really happening in a chatbot. But if you're interested, you can explore that side as well, and feel free to hit me up with any questions you have. But this is just a sample utterance that I'm going to create. And then, okay, so the Lambda initialization. So they're asking us to set a Lambda function here. We'll not be doing that today. I just want to create the chatbot. And okay, this is where you create all the variables. Now, for example, I can say, biryani, what variables are really associated with an order? Let's go with size. So size in the sense large, medium, small, something like that, right? So these these slots have many other types, as you can see here, that is created by AWS itself. So if it's an email address, if you want to get a name from the customer, you can set it accordingly. Let me just go ahead and create a slot type so that I can customize the data type I want here. So I'm just going to name it biryani size. And okay. So here I'm just going to do slot values and synonyms, meaning that I can just give large here and a synonym. So my, the value that is going to be stored and used for processing is going to be large, but the customer can probably also say something like big, right? Or yeah, I'm not sure of any other sites, but I'm just trying to say that these are some synonyms that can be used. So for small, maybe just not add anything. So here now, if you can see, my slot type is created and it's auto selected here. And this is, I'll just name it slot 1 for now. And what is the prompt? Our prompt is going to be, what size would you like? Okay, so now if you can see here, they've used a placeholder for your variable, right? So that the example that they are providing is car type, pickup city, pickup date, return date. So we are just going to say, okay, I will confirm, or rather, can I confirm your order for, and then you use the variable, the slot name that you have, and just give that. Okay. And then if your user is going to say no, this is what the reply we would have to do. So we're always going to do what the user wants, right? So here, if the user says no, I'm going to just cancel the order. Yeah. So here I'm just saving my intent. So like I said, intents are just functions that happen. So you can add multiple intents, suppose biryani order, pizza order, or anything, right? Anything, any function that you want to create here for your chatbot to handle is saved under intents. Okay, so Now I just have to build, and this is going to take some time, but does anybody have any questions? I think I can take up a few questions. Okay, cool. If anyone is interested at all, please do try building something like this. Like I said, use AWS Educate or AWS Academy. There's a lot of learning resources. You don't even have to leave AWS to actually build projects in a matter of few days, and really presenting these projects to companies can actually bag you internships, since many companies use AWS for many things, and seeing that you have built something would really stand out. If you're somebody who wants to, so these are all no code or low code projects, right? But if you're somebody who wants to do something on a large scale, you can use the other services to write your own code and do something to solve a problem that's being faced currently. So, okay, our build is successful, and now I can chat. I want to order a biryani, and this is supposed. Okay, so it says what size would you like, and I'm going to just say large. Yes. Okay, so this is a default response, but I can also add a response here. But essentially, okay, I haven't renamed my intent, but I'm just trying to say that our intent here would be order biryani, and it's ready for fulfillment. In the sense, if we connected an AWS Lambda function here, that function is going to take care of ordering the biryani. So updating the servers of, say, Zomato or Swiggy, if that's what you're building for, to actually go ahead and process your order. So now this is how you build a chatbot. And for a voice bot, like I said, you would have to connect it to an Amazon Connect instance, or when we move ahead, you can actually see that we'll be creating some UI to display our chat in another web app that we kind of publish. So even there, you can set up voice chat according to the instructions given here. But I'm just going to keep things simple. Now I hope like everyone understands Amazon Lex. I'm just trying to show you how easy it is to build projects using AWS services. Let's go ahead and create our own React app in Amplify. So just following the instructions here, if you
One
are...
second, Samikya, can we take some questions here?
Yes, yes.
Participants, if you have any clarifications with respect to building a chatbot using web services, AWS, to start with or something, you can have that, so that we can move ahead with building the web applications. Any clarifications? Okay, then. Okay, you proceed.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, cool. So for Amplify, you can actually, I can just show you this. So it's actually everything in AWS I've noticed is minimal clicks to get started with something you need. So if you're someone who has very minimal web development experience, you can still do your own web app entirely in this thing called Amplify Studio, which is basically, you have UI libraries. You can use Figma along with Amplify to actually create your app. They have services to take care of authentication, file storage functions. It's just like this, like I was talking before, this entire suite of services give ready for you to make your own web app. So I would really highly recommend experimenting with this before you jump on to real web development code, because this would give you a fairly, if you follow the tutorials, that's like more than enough to give you an understanding of how a web app actually works, how what the front end is, what the back end is, why do we need authentication, just stuff like that. So, but today I'll just I use actual code to set up a full stack project so that we can integrate our chatbot that we built here. Okay, cool. So here I'm just using, if you notice, this is the create React app template that we have, that so just the tool that we have to create Reacts. Okay, cool. So I already have my React amplified file, project file. I'll just create something like this. So this can take some time. I think I'll do one thing. I'll just explain the steps that's happening here instead of going through each one of them. I have actually set up the web app before, but basically what's happening is, again, if you know web development, this is just creating an app, and doing start is going to show you your local host. And then we have to create a backend for this app. Since React is just a front-end library, we do Amplify init to create a backend that connects with the cloud services. So that is what Amplify init is. Again, go ahead with just using the default. That is more than enough, unless you want really specific functionalities in your app. And then this is a UI library that we're installing, and setting up the front end is what this piece of code is doing. So these are just steps. Like I was saying, every tutorial really provides you with what is necessary to create a project. Okay, cool. So I am just going to go into my previously created web app. Like every other React app, this is how it's going to look. And I can add my chatbot here. Basically, one way is you can actually do amplify add interactions, and that is going to ask you for if you would like to start with a sample or start from scratch. I think I'll go ahead with starting with a sample. So again, book trip. Okay, let me just do order flowers. So if you see what I've done, I've used my terminal to create a chatbot. Instead of the UI here, I'm just using my terminal to just create a chatbot with a chatbot sample. And if you can see here, this is going to create, okay, it essentially would create a chatbot here. But let me just go ahead and use it in my application. Okay, so the chatbot we created was order flowers. I can just config that here. Okay. And then here I'm just adding React.
ఇంటి ముందు కొనుక్కునేదైనా అదొకటే పొద్దున్న సాయం బాగానే ఉండిపోతుంది
Yeah, here I'm just using a React tag. For people who do not know how React works, I'm just trying to say how it is set up in the front end. Please do not let this intimidate you. But basically, we're going to use, I believe this should work. Okay, and then when I start my app, it's supposed to be okay. So as you can see, the UI, they've provided us with UI that you can essentially use. For my order flowers, it's supposed to be showing up here. Let me just check. Okay, looks like it's not getting updated, but let me just go ahead and use the previous book trip, which is just another example that I created through my terminal. So yeah. So book trip is just another sample that's provided. Like we just saw, book a car, reserve a car. So now an alias here is just a name for the version of the chatbot. Let me just give test, and it should publish. But I believe this should be working. Okay, so yeah, the example that the sample chatbot that was created here is working right here in the web app. So this is all it takes to integrate your chatbot into a React app. That's what I'm trying to show here. Yeah, cool. So if we can also try our biryani ordering, let me see how this works. It should work. Okay, yeah, cool. It works. So as you can see, the one we created in using the GUI, I've just connected it to my web app, and it's currently working in the local host. So yeah, so whatever you create here, you can either do it through the GUI here or through your console, like I just showed. You can connect it to your web app in just a few lines of code with all of these tutorials that AWS offers. So yeah, I believe I've showed you two services today and explained about a few other services that I used. Um, feel feel free to hit me up with any questions. But yeah, this is just how easy it is to create something that you can actually showcase to other people, or if anyone is into building startups. AWS also offers many AWS credits for legible startups. So you can use these to build mind-blowing applications that can reach any part of the world. With AWS Amplify especially, I would really recommend exploring that if you want to get started with web development. So, two in one, you're going to learn about AWS and Amplify web development as well, to create your own app that can now serve so many customers on the other side of the world. Yes, so that is all about my demo. If there's any questions, I would be happy to take them out now. Anything at all? If you're shy, maybe put it in the chat. I'll take a look and explain. Or any other suggestions? Okay. Cool. I think, yes, ma'am, that's it I have for my demo.
Yeah, I think no questions there. So participants, as Samita has demonstrated about two major services in creating chatbot and web applications. Similar to that, for n number of applications, including AI, ML, IoT, any applications you take, Amazon provides us with all sort of these services. So once you refer to the tutorial how to start up, practice with a simple one. Initially, she showed how the architecture looks like, connecting to the database and then interfacing with the applications, the services, and so on. If you learn about those fundamentals and how do we use these services, it is really a good opportunity to explore so that any business could be done very fast. And I think currently almost all of the company or organization is transferring towards these sort of cloud related development. Because of this demand with respect to huge application, that is, we need to develop the applications instantly in the robust manner, and it should support the scalable approach and so on. AWS is the best possible solution in the cloud system you can take off. And if you want to design systems as well in the context of architecturing the system, even Amazon Cloud Services is providing that opportunity as well. So I think this is a start for you, which ignited your minds that there exists something called cloud computing, and there are n number of vendors who are offering with n number of services to develop applications. And it was demonstrated how do you develop a chatbot and instantly create web page using the Amazon Amplify service as well. So that's what for the session today. Any doubts and clarifications you can ask us. Otherwise, I think we have done with that.
I want to thank the Jeepquest and the Samyukta who gave their valuable time from their busy schedule to grace this event and for letting know us the importance of AWS. Hope that you found this speech more informative to make an end to make a beginning. The end is where we start from. Thanks for giving me this opportunity.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Samyukta. Thank you.
Every day holds the possibility of a miracle, so keep hoping for the best and keep shining. On behalf of our entire NGC Club and VIT, I would like to thank our honorable speakers. Thank you for inspiring and encouraging us with your words on this special day. Special thanks to our club coordinator, faculty coordinator Ganesh Reddy sir for supporting us on every event and webinar. And last but not the least, I would like to extend my gratitude to our audience for coming and making this webinar a successful one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jaswita, and thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being here, and thank you for extending our knowledge on AWS. Thank you. We called you, and you accepted our invitation. Thanks for that.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes,
Any
ma'am. Thank you.
feedbacks